Shut up and sit down.
It's time! We are finally here, people, after months and months of speculating, wondering who the hell is going to be on this card. Is it worth the hype? Is it living up to what the name was meant to be? Dana White says it's going to be the best card he's ever built. People were saying that it's not the best card he's ever built. People were shitting on it. People's been loving it. But we are finally here. This weekend, all of this gets put to bed and we really get to see UFC 300 for what it is. I'm so excited for this event. I don't think I've ever been this excited for a UFC event. The card is completely stacked from bottom to top. Yes, it may be lacking the star power main event. You know, there's no McGregor in there. There's no John Jones in the main event. We are lacking that star power, yes. But this card is absolutely stacked from top to bottom. Former champs, contenders in nearly every fight, newcomers. What a brilliant card this is, and I cannot wait for it. Over the past year, I would say I have watched easily over 100 videos on this card alone. I've watched about Chael Sonnen, I've watched about 50 Chael Sonnen videos alone. I'd actually love to know how many videos Chael Sonnen has made on UFC 300. Every YouTuber has been talking about it for months and months, and we're finally here. In today's video, I'm going to break down all of the fights. I'm going to keep each fight short and sweet because, as I said before, this card is absolutely stacked. I could make a whole video about each and every one of these fights, but I don't want to do that. I want to make it a nice and short and sweet video, so I'm going to give my pick and my reason why I think each fighter is going to win, and I'll move on to the next one. So I'll try not get too bogged down on any of the fights. If I do apologise, but I'll try my very hardest not to. We're going to start off with the early prelims and make our way through to the main event of the evening. So the first fight of the night, Figueiredo against Cody Garbrandt. This fight could be like a main event of a fight night easily. This is going to be an absolutely brilliant fight. I'm so buzzing for it. It's actually one of the fights that I'm looking forward to the most on this card. Figueiredo, obviously last time out, he stepped up the bantamweight and fought Rob Font, and he got a brilliant win. Rob Font's a guy who's been in the bantamweight division. He's done very well in it over the past sort of decade, and for Figueiredo to step up and get that win in his first bantamweight match in the UFC, it was very impressive. But he's coming up against an old timer in the division, Cody Garbrandt. Cody Garbrandt's a man that he looked as if he was down and out. He had a really good career. Cody Garbrandt was absolutely brilliant, one of the best in this division for years. But then he went through a sort of lull where he was getting injured, and he went through a bit of a rut. I've heard him speaking about this before. He wasn't in a great place. He kept getting injured, struggled to get the momentum going. But his past few fights, he's looked like the Cody Garbrandt of old. He's looked like the Cody Garbrandt that really went in there and took the piss out of Dominic Cruz. So this is an absolutely exceptional matchup to be starting the card. Who have I got in it? I've got Figueiredo. I think Figueiredo, he looked very big for a flyweight whenever he fought in that division. And we've seen videos before of Figueiredo. Anytime he was stepping up to make weight, he looked terrible. You know, I used to read it on Reddit all the time about how bad Figueiredo looked whenever he was trying to make flyweight. He stepped up, he looks a lot fuller and a lot more powerful, and I just think he'll be too good for Cody Garbrandt. I don't think he'll be able to finish him, but I'm going to say a unanimous decision for Figueiredo. So we move on to Jim fucking Miller against Bobby Green. Jim Miller, UFC 100, UFC 200, UFC 300. Can he get it done on Saturday night? I hope so. My heart says no, my head says yes. Sorry, the other way around. My heart says yes, my head says no. I don't know if Jim Miller can get this done on Saturday night. He's got a chance to slip back into the rankings here. Jim Miller was a guy who, obviously, is an absolute legend of the game. You don't need me to tell you who Jim fucking Miller is. Absolute legend of the game. It looked like he was picking up a few losses, but over these past couple of years, he's won 5 out of his last 6, and he's got a chance here to slip back into the rankings at the tail end of his career. He's coming up against Bobby Green. Bobby Green last time out against Turner, he was defeated. I think he stepped on short notice from memory for that fight. Bobby Green is an absolute gangster. He's a hard guy to beat. As much as I would love Jim Miller to do it, I would be unbelievable to see Jim Miller get the job done Saturday night, but I don't think he will. I think Bobby Green will be just too good for him. I think the pace of Bobby Green might be slightly too much for Jim Miller. So I'm going to go for a Bobby Miller decision for this fight. So next up on the early prelims, we have Jessica Andrade against Mariana Rodriguez. This is one of them fights. If you smoke and you want to smoke during the early prelims, go during this fight. This probably will be a good fight, don't get me wrong. I do think it'll be a really good fight. We've got a pocket rocket in Jessica Andrade against a very decision heavy fighter in Mariana Rodriguez. It will be a good fight. Is there much at stake for this fight? Not really. I remember when this fight was announced for UFC 300, it was getting a lot of backlash, and Dana was getting a lot of hate for it because is it a worthy fight for UFC 300? Probably not. I do think it will deliver on the night, but I don't think it's worthy of UFC 300. How do I see this fight going? I think Jessica Andrade, I think the occasion will get to her in a good way. I think she'll come out. She is a pocket rocket. She'll come out swinging, and I think she'll get a finish in either the first or the second round. It won't be easy for her. Mariana Rodriguez is very, very good and very durable, but I just think Jessica Andrade, I just think she'll be too good. And I think, as I said before, I think the occasion that will do good for her, she'll know there'll be so many people watching this on early prelims. You know, I don't think there'll ever be more people watching an early prelim, so this is her chance to go out and make a name for herself, and I think she'll do that. So I'm going to go with Jessica Andrade, finish in the second round. So the last fight in the early prelims, then we have Jalen Turner against Money Moicano. I'm a fan of Money Moicano. I think he's pretty funny. All of the stuff with the MMA Guru, called him out.
MMA Guru, you are pig.
That post-match interview, post-match interview, I was going to call it a press conference there, but it's not. The post-match interview he done after beating Drew Dober was absolutely insane. He's talking about his dad, who's like 72, having a weigh-in and all this here shit. Money Moicano is a bit of a madman, but he's someone that I like. And he's an underdog coming into this fight, and it's probably right that he's an underdog. Jalen Turner, he's a bit more tested within the lightweight division. Jalen Turner, he is good. He has been around the rankings for some years now. But Moicano will be looking to take his spot in the top 10. And I think he can get it done on Saturday night. I would go Money Moicano decision. It'll be a nice wee one for your bets. It'll be a nice wee bet booster, picking an underdog. In terms of underdogs on this card, this is one that I would go for. I don't know why, I just have a feeling that Money Moicano's going to do it, and it's going to set up a fight with Paddy Pimblett after. The stars are aligned, it's meant to happen. So Money Moicano decision on that fight. So we move on to the prelims openers. I actually can't even believe that was the early prelims. I feel like I'm talking about a fight night here, and that was the main card. This is incredible. What an unbelievable card. I'll probably say this loads of times throughout. But it's a featherweight fight against Sodiq Yusuf against Diego Lopez. Diego Lopez is a man who's made a lot of noise since coming into the UFC, and he's now getting a shot at their rankings. If he wins this here, he'll be looking to creep into their rankings. To me, Diego Lopez is coming in as a slight favourite. I think he should be more of a favourite in this fight, to be honest. He's coming in against Sodiq Yusuf. Sodiq Yusuf has just been defeated by Edson Barboza. Edson Barboza, again, he's a veteran of the sport and, you know, a brilliant fighter, but he's at the tail end of his career. Sodiq Yusuf, if he's getting beat by Edson Barboza, going off that fight, I think Diego Lopez has every shot in the world to beat him here. Will he get the finish? I'm not sure. Sodiq Yusuf will be a hard guy to put away, but I'm going to go for a Diego Lopez third round finish in this fight. I think Diego Lopez, he's a future star of the sport. He has looked good. He did get beat by Evloev. I just had to remember there who it was. He got beat by Evloev, but there's no shame in that. Evloev is one of the best fighters in the division. He's ranked top 3, top 4 at the minute. So there was no shame in that. But Diego Lopez, I think he'll go on here and he'll really, really break through the casual sort of fan base. I think this is his chance to shine in the UFC, and I'm going to go for a third round finish against Sodiq Yusuf. So we move on then to a very interesting fight. It's Kayla Harrison against UFC veteran Holly Holm. A lot of people are picking Kayla Harrison for this. Holly Holm is a massive outsider for this fight. She's a big underdog. Don't get me wrong, Kayla Harrison is a judo Olympic gold winner. I think she's actually won it twice. Holly Holm, she's in the Boxing Hall of Fame. So this is really a grappling against striking matchup. The first battle Kayla Harrison has here is making weight. Kayla Harrison is stepping down the bantamweight and she is absolutely massive. I've seen videos over this fight week doing interviews and stuff. She is huge, and especially for the bantamweight division. She's never made this weight class before, so it will be interesting seeing her make weight. She looks very professional. She speaks as if she's a very professional woman. She seems like she's the sort of girl that will get the job done and there will be no arson about. So I won't be surprised to see her make weight, but it will be interesting just to see how she does that, because she does have a hell of a lot of weight to cut here. So that's going to be her first battle. If she gets into the cage on Saturday night, it will be interesting seeing the levels. This might be a similar one to MVP, where you know, it's kind of hard to gauge how good they actually are because they've been fighting in the likes of Bellator. Obviously, MVP showed that he was at UFC level by beating Kelvin Holland. I think Kayla Harrison's going to. My head says yes, but my heart says no. In my bet, I'm actually going to do Holly Holm in this, because I think the experience that she has and the caliber of opponents that she has fought, It's going to, and she's fought in massive events before, knocked out Ronda Rousey with a head kick. She's been in big events before. This is going to be second nature to Holly Holm, and I do think she will get the job done. I think she might get a decision win, or she might knock her out. I'm not 100% sure, but I would stick Holly Holm in your bet just because it's going to really boost the odds. She's a massive outsider with all bookies, but she's a former champ and one of the best female fighters to do it. So taking her as an outsider, it's a no-brainer to me. So I'll probably just put Holly Holm in as a win. I don't know if it'll be a decision or a knockout, but pick her for the win anyway. Fingers crossed she doesn't let Kayla Harrison get close to her, because if Kayla Harrison gets close to her, it's game over. Holly Holm really needs to keep the distance here. It's a massive cage. We've seen the fighters talk about how big the cage is going to be at UFC 300. So it suits Holly Holm. She can keep her distance, stay away, and try and fight on the outside. And as long as Kayla Harrison doesn't grab her and doesn't get too close to her, I think Holly Holm will get the job done on Saturday night. So moving on to the next fight. This is an absolutely banging matchup. Calvin Kattar against Aljamain Sterling. Not Aljamain Sterling in the bantamweight division, it's Aljamain Sterling in the featherweight division. That sounds pretty dangerous to me. This is a very similar situation to Figueiredo, as I discussed for the first fight of the night. Figueiredo, he looked massive for the flyweight division in the same way Aljamain Sterling looked absolutely massive for the bantamweight division. Guy that struggled to make weight, I think, looked really big, caught a serious amount of weight in order to fight in that division, but he's now stepped up the bantamweight, and I am the featherweight, and I am really interested to see how he does at this weight class. And what a guy to introduce him to the weight class as Calvin Kattar. Calvin Kattar, he's been in there, done it. He's done it with the best. Max Holloway, you know, he's got some great wins over his UFC career. He's not at the top level of this sport. He's not at the top level of this weight class, but he is someone, he's kind of a gatekeeper for that top 5. And he'll be right in there, and he'll make it a really tough fight for Aljamain Sterling. Aljamain Sterling obviously coming off the knockout loss to Sean O'Malley, where he lost the title. How do I see this fight going? I think Aljamain Sterling will get a unanimous decision win. I can see him being very grapple heavy in this fight. I don't think he'll want to stand the bang with Calvin Kattar. Calvin Kattar is one of the best boxers in the sport, and very quick and slick boxer. So I can see Aljamain Sterling maybe taking him to a unanimous decision, being very grapple heavy, will pin him down up against the cage. I think he'll take us back a few times. But Calvin Kattar is a hard guy to put away, so Aljamain Sterling decision for this one. So we move on to the final fight in the prelims. This is absolutely mental that this fight is in the prelims. It's former light heavyweight champion Jiri Prochazka against Alexander Rakic. Rakic obviously coming off quite a lengthy time out of the octagon. He's been out for about a year and a half, 2 years now. And before that, he was a real contender in the light heavyweight division. He was looking very good, and he was unlucky just to pick up that injury. For Jiri Prochazka, he was in a similar situation as Rakic. He also had to take 2 years out. Although he did come back and he fought Alex Pereira for the belt, obviously coming up short in that fight. And this is Jiri Prochazka's first run out since that fight. So I'm quite interested to see this, because I think Jiri Prochazka, it's really hard to come back after this length of time off, and this will maybe lead to who I'm going to pick for this fight. It's really hard to take 2 years out and come back and be a big profile fight like this here. I get back to Tom Aspinall. I think Tom Aspinall done it right. When he busted his knee, he come back against an opponent like Tybura. You need to feel your way back in to the sport and really get under them lights again. If you haven't done it for so long, it's very difficult to come into such a high profile fight as Prochazka did. But Prochazka is an animal, so that doesn't surprise me that he came in and done that. What way do I see this fight going? I've literally just noticed that Jiri Prochazka is an even money underdog in this fight. Alexander Rakic, the slight favourite, but a former champ and a fighter like Jiri Prochazka, I think his price has dropped because he didn't look great against Alex Pereira. But as I said, he was coming off a two-year time out from the sport, a 2-year injury which kept him out. So I think Jiri Prochazka is going to come back and really put down a statement here, and I think he's going to get a finish. I think he's going to get a finish win in the third round. You don't even have to pick a round for your bet in this one. It's another underdog and giving you even money. It'll really boost your accumulator, boost the odds of your betting. So make sure and stick it in. Jiri Prochazka, I don't know. Jiri Prochazka round 3 I'll go for. It could be a decision, but I want to see a finish, so I'll go round 3. So next up, I probably don't have to spend too much time thinking about this one. We've got Bo Nickel against Cody Brundage. It's the main card opener. We've seen a lot of shit talked about why this is on the main card. I actually kind of understand why Dana's put it on the main card. It's a poor business move from the UFC. He hasn't really been thinking about the fans. Well, he might be, because the chances are Bo Nickal's going to go out and get a finish. Dana needs Bo Nickal to finish Cody Brundage here. If Dana puts him on the main card and it's a bore fest and it goes to 3 rounds, Bo Nickal's going to get a lot of hate, and so's the UFC for making this the main card opener. But I don't think that'll be the case. I think Bo Nickal's going to go out, get it done in the first round. His striking looked impressive last time out against Val Woodburn, so I don't know if he'll use the striking or if he'll use the grappling, but I can see him getting this done in the first round. The price that he is, minus 2,100. Let me work that out, what that is in English or UK terms.
Few moments later.
So Bo Nickal in this fight is 1-20. So in order for you to win £1, you have to risk £20. I have never seen odds like this in UFC or a fight. This is unbelievable how much of an underdog Cody Brundage here is. What an underdog story if he gets it done, but the chances are so slim, it's unreal. Bo Nickal, he could be he's definitely a future contender. He could be a future champion in the middleweight division. So for me, it's a Bo Nickal first round, maybe a knockout, maybe a submission. It's hard to tell. I think he might use his hands. He kind of likes to prove. Everyone knows about Bo Nickal's wrestling. He's got the wrestling accolades, one of the best American freestyle wrestlers there is. So I think he would like to get this done with his hands, similar to what he done against Woodburn. He'll try and use his hands to get the knockout, to prove that he is not just a wrestler, but he is a fully formed MMA fighter now. So Bo Nickal first round knockout for me. So we move on then to, this could be the best fight on this card. This is going to be unbelievable. It's Charlie Olives, the Bronx against Arman Tsarukyan. This fight is going to be such a difficult one to call. I keep changing my mind on who I think will win this one. Arman Tsarukyan, he's looked very, very good. He's only suffered defeats to Islam Makhachev in his UFC debut and a very close and subjective call against Mateusz Gamrot, so Arman Tsarukyan has looked very, very good. Both of these guys coming off wins to Beneil Dariush. They both made it look like easy work against Dariush. Arman Tsarukyan coming in as a favourite. Charles Oliveira is plus 185, and I would take him on this fight. Charles Oliveira, he's going to come out. I think Charles Oliveira's striking, from what I've seen from Tsarukyan, I think Charles Oliveira's striking would be better. Tsarukyan's wrestling's better, but Charles Oliveira's jiu-jitsu is better. But both of these guys don't know how to fight at a slow pace. They're going to come out hell for leather, and whether it's a grappling or whether it's striking, this fight is going to be unbelievable. I can see a finish, and I'm going to go a finish for Charlie Olives in the second round. The champ's got a name, and it's Charles Oliveira, the Bronx.
The champion has a name, and it's Charles Oliveira.
Definitely a good one to be put in there again. Picking another underdog, which is going to boost your bets. You can't bet against Charles Oliveira. We've seen it against Dustin Poirier, against Benoit Saint-Denis. Benoit Saint-Denis, kind of similar to Arman Tsarukyan, looking very, very good, but he comes up against a veteran in the division, someone there that's been there and done it, and Dustin Poirier, and he can't get it done. And I think this is going to be a similar scenario. I think the first round is going to be very, very tight, but coming into the second round, I think Charles Oliveira, he's going to get a sub off his back. Not sure what type of sub, but I think he'll get a submission off his back and he'll get the job done in round 2. So we move on. I just said that this was probably going to be the best fight, the Oliveira one, but this probably actually will be. The BMF title is on the line here, and we've got Justin Gaethje against Max Holloway. What a brilliant fight this will be. Pretty hard one to pick, because Max Holloway is, outside of Volkanovski, Max Holloway is one of my favourite fighters. I really don't want to bet against him. I really do not want to. He's coming in here as an underdog, obviously stepping up the lightweight. He has stepped up the lightweight before against Dustin Poirier, but that was on short notice. He wasn't really expected to be fighting at lightweight at that time. He stepped in for, I can't even remember who it was got injured, but he stepped in at short notice. This time he's had plenty of time to prepare. He's had plenty of time to bulk up properly, make the weight properly, and I don't know, this is going to be such an unbelievable fight. These guys can only fight one way, and it's coming in and standing and trading and meeting each other in the middle of the cage. Justin Gaethje, very hard man to put away, but an even harder man to put away is Max Holloway. He's never even been dropped in the UFC. What an unbelievable stat. They have never been dropped in the UFC, and fighting at this level for so many years. Max Holloway made his UFC debut when he was 20 and he's now 32. So 12 years down the line, 12 years of fighting at the highest level in mixed martial arts, and he has never been dropped. Unbelievable statistic that is. Will it change on Saturday night? I really hope not, but Justin Gaethje is in serious form at the minute. I listened to Brandon Loughnane was on with Adam Catterall on the new TalkSport MMA channel, and Brendan Loughnane was talking about how he's been in the cage with Rafael Fiziev, and he said Fiziev was one of the best fighters that he's been in the cage with. Justin Gaethje went out and he made it look easy against Fiziev that night. I bet against him that night. Obviously, we've seen him knock out Dustin Poirier. Dustin Poirier's just got a brilliant win over Benoit Saint-Denis. So this really shows the levels that Justin Gaethje is at the minute. I think he's going to get the job done against Max Holloway. These are two of my favourite fighters. I really don't want any of them to get beat here. I don't want to see any of them getting knocked out. I think Justin Gaethje is going to get the job done. I think it'll be a decision. This is 5 rounds. Well, is this fight even going to go 5 rounds? I forgot this was 5 rounds. Oh, there's no way they can fight at that pace for 5 rounds with each other. Like, there's no way they'll be able to fight at that pace for that long. Someone has to get finished here, and I can't see it to Max Holloway because he's never been finished before. So, do you know what? I'm changing my decision again. Max Holloway is going to knock out Justin Gaethje in the 4th round. Justin Gaethje is going to come forward and beat him in the first 3 rounds. I think Max Holloway is going to stick in there because he can't get put down. He's never been put down, and he's going to get the win. He's going to knock out Justin Gaethje in the 4th or 5th round. That's my first time picking Max. I've thought about this quite a lot, and I was going Justin Gaethje, but I'm going with my heart here. Max Holloway win. And a knockout as well. So we move on to the co-main event and the first actual title fight that we have, and it's for the women's strawweight title. We've got Zhang Weili against Xiaonan. So this is obviously an all-Chinese title fight, the first ever. There's a real lot of bragging rights on the line here in terms of Chinese status. You know, you can imagine all the fans in China. These girls are fighting for their support. So there's a lot of bragging rights on the line here. This will be a good fight. Zhang Weili, she's very, very good. She always impresses me. Any time that Zhang Weili is fighting anyone that's not called Rose, she always impresses me. She looks very, very good. Xiaonan will be no pushover, to be fair, but I just think Zhang Weili, I just think she'll be too good. I'm going to go unanimous decision for Zhang Weili. I think she'll get it done comfortably enough. Might get put in some spots of trouble, but I think she's experienced enough and she's skilled enough, and she's really evolved as a martial artist as well over the past few years. You know, we've seen her ground game, her strike, and it's all at the same level now. So I think Zhang Weili is going to get a unanimous decision win. So we move on to the light heavyweight title fight then. For a main event in UFC 300, people were saying it was quite underwhelming. I would say it was underwhelming in terms of star power, in terms of household names. You know, unless you're a fan of the sport, you probably don't know Alex Pereira and you probably don't know Jamahal Hill. They're not the star power or the proper draw names. But if you're a fan of the sport, this is an unbelievable fight. What a fight this is going to be. Quite similar to what I spoke about with the Yuri Prashka and Rakic situation. Jamahal Hill's coming off an Achilles injury here. Or an Achilles injury, sorry. He's coming off an injury, and it's such a bad injury to get. He's only been out for 9 months ever since he got this injury. Ever since he announced this injury until Saturday night, it's going to be 9 months. I heard people talking about the Achilles injury. Apparently it's meant to take a lot longer than that. So I don't know if Jamahal Hill is rushing into this fight. He's maybe rushing back because he's got the opportunity to headline UFC 300. This is an opportunity not many fighters get. This is the pinnacle of mixed martial arts. So he's maybe rushed back, and I think Alex Pereira will know this. Alex Pereira's calf kicks, which do tend to hit slightly above the Achilles, are absolutely fucking brutal. And I think Alex Pereira is going to really beat away at that leg of Jamahal Hill and get a second round TKO. I think, I don't know why, I just have this feeling that Alex Pereira is going to wrap them calf kicks around the back of the leg, and it's really going to rupture Jamahal Hill's Achilles. It's really going to test the injury. You hear people saying that when someone has a weakness that they can't improve on, they would say that's his Achilles heel, that's their Achilles heel, because that is like one of them injuries where it just keeps happening. It's meant to be very, very bad. So I'm going to go for an Alex Pereira knockout TKO in the second round for the main event. So that is the whole card and my picks from the bottom to the top. I cannot wait for this card. I'm going to set up, obviously UK time, this main event will probably start at like 5:30 in the morning or something ridiculous. I'm going to stay up. I'll be watching it from 11 PM right through the main event. What an unbelievable card this is, and I cannot wait for it. Make sure that if you enjoy this content, to like, share and subscribe to Bernie Talks Fighting. All of the support so far, it's much appreciated. I'm a new channel, so any support and helping me get my word out there and helping get the channel out there, it's much appreciated. Make sure and enjoy the fights this weekend, and let me know what you think in the comments. Also, Who's going to win this weekend? Who's your picks? Let me know in the comments. Enjoy the fights this weekend. This is a special one. We probably won't have UFC 400 for another 6 or 7 years. Probably 2030 has been estimated. So make sure and enjoy this. This is once in a decade kind of card. Make sure and enjoy it. Have a good laugh with your friends, and I will be back on Monday or Tuesday with a video breaking down the events that happened. Hopefully we're not disappointed. Hopefully this card lives up to expectations. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.